Welcome to Hyper, an all-in-one AI platform with agents, workflows, and everything you need to automate almost anything. Today we're going to go ahead and do an example where we use Hyper to analyze our performance data across Meta and Google Ads. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and choose which tools I want to use. So Meta and Google Ads right here. And we're going to say, hey Hyper, can you analyze all campaign data from Meta and Google Ads for this month? Let me know how things are doing, spin up a dashboard visualization with all of the data, and give me actionable insights. We're actually going to include our, let's find it here, sandbox tool. So this is going to allow Hyper to execute code, build the dashboard, all of that good stuff. Now I'll go ahead and send that in, and we can see Hyper gets right off to work. It's thinking through my message and planning what it's going to go ahead and do. So first, it's calling a couple of tools. It's calling our Google Ads list accounts and Meta Business List ad accounts. We have multiple ad accounts on both Meta and Google. So in this case, it's very relevant for anyone who's managing ads across different businesses or clients, all of that good stuff. Now it's going ahead and executing a bunch of different calls across Meta. And just for context, each of these tool calls I can expand to see the input and the output. Looks like there was a failed tool call here that's defined, and we can see visualized by this red X. In this case, Hyper will always try things again, but it looks like it got all of the data it needed. So now it's getting the insight data for the active Meta campaigns and the one Google Ads campaign that we have had live in the month of November. Here we can open up this Meta Business Ad Insight, and we can see it's actually querying a specific account for the entire month, and it's looking at our summary metrics across all of the different campaigns, the ads that we've had live. Looks like it wants to enable sandbox, so we'll enable this. And here we can see it's actually looking at all of our different active campaigns on Meta, giving us our overall spend, impressions, and it's doing this per campaign. So we can see all of our different KPIs. Same thing with Google here. Excellent. And yeah, so now I'll say, yes, go for it. And in this case, we're just demonstrating a few of the different tools being used in parallel. We could enable anything else here. If we wanted to spin up a sheet with reporting, automate some sort of data formatting and collection, we could absolutely do that. But here we can see that Hyper just started the sandbox. The way you could think about a sandbox is it is a virtual environment where Hyper can run code, it can build apps, websites, it can use Python to do pretty deep analysis across data, very much in this case like a digital marketing analyst. It is syncing all of the data from our Meta and Google ad accounts, and it's creating a file. So now we can kind of just hang out while Hyper is doing this. I'll give a little bit more background on some of the tools we have here. So in addition to the integrations that allow us to connect our actual apps that we use, allowing Hyper to take action across them, we have a bunch of native tools that are, default, can be used right out of the box in Hyper. Those are defined by what we see in this gray area right here. So we see a bunch of different things. For example, the Flows tool allows agents to execute existing workflows or just build them. So instead of having to build workflows manually, like in platforms like Zapier, Make, that sort of thing, Hyper can actually spin up those workflows immediately, allow you to edit them, run them, iterate, and yeah, very much automate any sort of repeatable business process. We will go over that in another video. This is mainly about looking at our marketing performance and seeing where we can improve, and yeah, just getting that high level analysis. So we'll just go ahead and let this continue. We can see it's actually, syncing all of this data. Looks like our URL is just loading in. And that's another thing here. It's when Hyper is spinning up websites, apps, or dashboard visualizations, it will deploy that to a temporary URL. So for example, if you want to share that with teammates, clients, you can absolutely do that. All right, here we are about 30 seconds later. We can see Hyper put together our dashboard. And we can go ahead and open this in a new tab. And let's go ahead and check it out. We can see our platform performance comparison, as well as our key metrics comparison. So we can see total spend, our CPC, our click-through rate, our conversion and leads comparison, as well as our cost efficiency analysis. We see key insights across every single KPI. Now we have Hyper's budget allocation analysis. So we can see the current budget allocation very much skewed to Meta. And Hyper says, okay, I think we should actually move some of that budget over to Google Ads. We can see our individual campaign performance split by channel. So in this case, Meta and Google. We see all of our recommended action items, so immediate actions and then medium-term optimizations, as well as at the very end, our summary statistics. So this is an example of using Hyper to run analysis on our sort of omni-channel like ad performance. We could have Hyper actually go ahead and make these changes on its own right now. We could have it build out new campaigns. We could very much use it to plan out like our budget for the rest of the month to move some of that over to Google Ads where it looks like we're getting higher performance. And yeah, this is just one very small example for how you can use Hyper, whether you're a marketing team, an agency, anyone who's running ads, or really anyone who wants to use AI that can connect to their tools and can, do actions for them on demand. From here, I think a really cool thing to do would be to generate a flow. So we're gonna go ahead and include our flows tool. And I'm gonna say, okay, great. Can you create a flow that puts together this analysis every day and actually sends us all an email at team@hyperfx.ai? Perfect. We'll send this in. And the way you can think about flows, they are reusable workflow automations. We can exit this out. And for any sort of repeatable process, they're you can just immediately spin up a workflow automation just like you would in Zapier or Make, except instead of having to drag around different steps and sort of build out that logic on your own, you can just use Hyper to do it end to end. So we can see it's actually calling the flows generate tool. It thought for a few seconds, planning out how it wanted to build out this workflow. Now it's generating the flow. Hyper can do this pretty quickly. We'll give it a second. All right, looks like our flow is ready to go. We can get a high-level overview of what it looks like here, but we can go ahead and press edit to check it out in our workflow editor. We can see that the flow starts off with a trigger, and then it goes into our message data fetcher, which is our first agent. We can see system prompt, the model, available tools, same with our Google Ads fetcher. And these are all agent steps. So for example, unlike a very API-based automation, each of these steps is an agent who has access to all of the tools it needs to perform this analysis. We could go ahead and publish this workflow to have it run on a recurring schedule, triggering at 4 p.m. We can go ahead and change this. I'm going to have it, daily at 8 a.m. Perfect. We'll update the schedule. And now we can go ahead, we could either publish this or we could just go ahead and test it. So I'll go ahead and test this, run the workflow test. We'll go over to our runs tab where we could actually watch that workflow go. This is where you would see a workflow running if you were here in front of it. Otherwise, it would be running while you were off getting lunch or on vacation or doing something else for your team or business. We can click the run and we can actually just see what's happening in real time. So it looks like our agent is fetching comprehensive meta business insights for all of our different ad accounts. Now it's doing the same thing for Google Ads. And this is very much how you can turn any sort of system or idea into a repeatable automation that's running on a schedule that you set. Workflows can run, whether it be from a message and chat, they could run on a schedule, whether it be daily, every other day, totally customizable. You can also trigger workflows to run based on an event. So for example, every time you get an email or something happens in a Google Sheet, you can also set them up to run based on webhooks. And we have a couple other things coming to triggers that we're pretty excited about. And yeah, hopefully this gives you a quick high-level overview and example of what's possible on Hyper. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll definitely be sharing more use cases every day. All right, thanks for watching.